Thursday, June 1st, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we originally were going to talk about the airline industry, but we got sidetracked by chemistry and bullies and all sorts of fun stuff.
Let's do this.
So it's about 1,000 degrees, and the humidity is about 1 billion here right now.
But it rained, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, it rained, and the humidity got worse because the rain kind of fell and then stuck around.
So it's like the air couldn't hold any more water, but it was so hot that water was evaporating. Then it wanted to go where there was no room for it. So it rained to make room for new humidity that immediately filled the vacant area where the rain used to be.
I was walking around downstairs, and there's you can feel the water everywhere in the carpet, on the walls, and all the furniture.
We need to get us a fan down there.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to stay up here in my airtight, air-conditioned room.
I'm going to stay upstairs in my airtight, air-conditioned room.
Though this weekend, we will be at the beach.
Unless the weather is terrible.
If it's terrible, we'll probably go anyway.
Yeah, we won't go to the beach. We'll go to the...
we'll go to the shore.
Yes.
We'll look at the beach from the house.
Yeah. And probably play some games.
In other news, because we've done long episodes for most of the week, and because it's late and we're tired and we're going out of town tomorrow, this won't be the longest episode.
No, it won't be. It'll be quite terse.
If you wanted a long episode, try listening to yesterday or the day before, which were both very long.
At least long for us.
Yeah, well, I've noticed that the length of our episodes has been creeping upward ever slowly.
Well, let's try to put a cap on that.
Yeah, I mean, originally, when we first started doing this, it was tough to make it out to the 45 minutes we'd always kind of shot for.
Yeah, well, practice and then actually having something to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, when we can't think of something to talk about and we pick some crap-ass topic for the day, it doesn't go very long.
Yeah, except that we've gotten good at talking about those crap-ass topics because we've done it so often.
Yeah, but when we talk about a real good topic, it goes even longer.
Yep, I mean, I could have gone another couple hours on Animazement.
Great. I don't think anyone wants to hear it.
They seem to. Everyone seems to like to hear everything we have to say.
We might as well just sit here going, like exactly that, and then I guess people will enjoy it.
Yep, tup tup tilly tum pum pum.
You got a problem.
I like that music.
You got a problem.
I think I'm just gonna order the 2 CDs I found because I can't find them torrent-wise anywhere.
Well,
also,
you're not gonna find them on Pirates Bay, at least not for a couple days.
Yeah, that's not really news, but for anyone who's following it, the Pirates Bay people have stated openly that they will be back up within a few days.
Woohoo! Those are my kind of people.
They have also claimed that it is all a result of corruption and money and influence from foreign countries. They're claiming that the search was illegal and unwarranted, and they may possibly sue for a violation of whatever rights they have in Sweden.
Yeah, I don't know how Sweden court works, though. Usually a lot of those European courts have the professional judges, so it's tricky.
So if any of you out there are in Sweden and know anything about Swedish law, give us a buzz.
I know about the Swedish chef, but I do not know about the Swedish law. Yeah.
So do you have any actual news?
Let's see. Oh, we're going to Wizard World Philly Saturday. So if you want to see us, we'll be there.
If you happen to be in Wildwood, New Jersey, Saturday night and Sunday, let us know before we leave, and maybe we'll see you on the beach.
Yep. Half-Life 2 Episode 1 came out today. I'm playing it. It's worth...
He's playing it to the exclusion of life. He basically locked himself in his room all day.
Well, I don't got anything else to do. I mean, what would I have done if I wasn't playing it?
I don't know. Read a book, go outside.
Do I do any of those things usually?
You pretty much just sit in front of your computer anyway.
So, what's the difference? I'm just running a different piece of software this time.
I don't know how you can do it. I get sick of sitting in front of my computer after, several hours.
As long as there's something to do on the computer.
There's an infinite number of things to do. You could never run out of things to do on a computer.
Then why are you questioning? I don't know how you could be so sit in front of it for so long. And then immediately you answer your own question.
Well, because I find most of the things you can do useless.
Oh, well, I don't do those things.
I mean, I've gotten to the point where I don't even really surf the web anymore. Now that I have a job where I actually do work as opposed to a job where I can mostly just kind of surf the web, I don't surf the web at all in my free time.
Yeah, I got to get one of those jobs there.
I only look at the internet like once when I come home from work for a little bit, and then right before I do the show. And then if someone's online, I'll chat with them for a little bit, and then I'll go to sleep.
I mostly only visit, this list of websites that I have feeds for, and I just get information from those sites. I don't go browsing around for new stuff all the time. Actually, hardly ever.
But you do seem to go to those sites a lot.
I go to them maybe 5-6 times a day because they update. The ones that only update once a day, I read once a day. And like Penny Arcade, I'll go once a day.
Realize I only check FARC once a day now. If that.
Yeah. No, but I'll go to Dig maybe I guess 6 times.
Poking around on the internet looking for news is fine and all if I have nothing better to do because, I was at work where I couldn't really do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But surfing the internet is pretty much at the bottom of my list over everything else I could be doing with my free time.
Yeah, I just gotta get myself up to actually making something.
Just do it.
Yeah, it's really, the first step is the biggest one, and as soon as I start something, I can't stop doing it.
So do it.
I gotta actually do it.
Well, then do it. Just do it. Why don't you just do it?
It's not that easy.
Yes, it is. You could just start. You could just sit down and say, I'm going to do X and start doing it.
It's real hard when there's this real fun game to play instead.
Oh, so then you don't have any willpower.
Yeah, I do. I just don't want to. I'd rather play the game. My will makes me play the game instead of doing something else.
So then why do you want to do something else? Because obviously the game is the only thing you really want to do.
Yeah, it is what I really want to do. Until it's done, then I don't want to do it anymore.
Okay. I get sick of games real quick nowadays, too.
Yeah, me too. That's why it's a damn good game.
Nah.
To keep me interested.
I'll play it someday. I don't have any interest in buying a faster computer anytime soon.
Yeah, you haven't played it yet. If you actually played it, you'd be like, ah.
Oh, yeah, it's probably a great game. But keep in mind, I never played Half-Life 1 until a few years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So I'll probably play Half-Life 2 a few years from now.
Yeah, if it's still... See, that's the thing, is that Steam could, at any minute disappear, and then it's done. So, for real news, S&P, which is Standard & Poor's, if you did not know, there's some businessy group, I guess. They have, the S&P 500, like the 500 companies that are awesome, I guess.
I think everyone knows what the S&P is.
All right.
And if they don't know, they probably don't care.
It's some business thing. Anyway, what they do is they recommend which stocks you should buy and which ones you should sell. So, that's how things work. Now, recommendations for stocks are largely bullshit. And I'm not going to talk about that now, but I am going to talk about the recommendation on one particular stock by analyst John Yang. Now, the previous recommendation for this stock was the worst recommendation possible. Strong sell. That means, holy shit, sell this sinking ship. Oh my God. He has changed his recommendation to plain old sell, which means, all right, yeah, just sell it. It's no good. And you might have guessed already, the stock that is rated so poorly is Sony.
So apparently they're getting better if it went from strong sell to sell.
It says here, since the current price of Sony shares is near the 12-month target price of $44, they're going to make it sell, whereas it was strong sell. But it says here, we continue to believe that any potential upside in share price would be limited by a lack of visibility in Sony's games division. So even business people are saying Sony has no vision in their games division. Vision? No, visibility in the games division. It doesn't matter. Business people think Sony's games suck, and they don't even play games. They're businessmen. What the hell do they know?
They know about wearing suits and yelling at people.
Yeah, and they think Sony sucks too.
I hate to keep ripping on Sony, but no, I don't. I freaking love it. I hate Sony. I hope they die in a fire.
Sony used to be all right.
Sony used to be
actually
awesome.
In the 80s, they were awesome. And then in the 90s, they were all right. And then now in the 2000s, they're poop.
Yep. I mean, it's not just that they're bad. If they were just a bad company that made poor decisions, I wouldn't be so hard on them. I'd just say, wow, they suck. But they've gone out of their way to anger their consumers and their customers at every step of the way. They have put viruses on their customers' computers. I can't remind you of that enough.
Yeah, think about this. People like Infinium Labs are not as bad as Sony.
Because Infinium, while they trick idiots out of money...
Yeah, all Infinium did is they made a phony product that doesn't really exist. They get people to invest in the phony product. They're not selling it to anyone. They're just providing all the customers and gamers out there with a lot of humorous anecdotes. Sony is putting viruses on your computers and stealing your money.
What was that? You were like smacking your lips.
I burped or something. It was kind of...
Okay. I was just curious because that was louder than usual.
Some gastroesophageal movements.
You should do something about that.
What?
I don't know.
Not eat?
Maybe eat better food?
I eat just fine food.
All right.
What food do I eat that's no good?
I don't know, but whatever it is, it causes you to be all burpy.
I'm burpy all the time.
Maybe you got a bad intestine.
No, I think my intestine's all right.
Anyway, go on with your news. I wasn't trying to stop you.
That was my news. Sony sucks.
That's all you had to say?
Yeah. So just more evidence on the burner.
Well, I'll be real quick on my news. There's an article on Slashdot about a book and a bunch of associated articles, and the gist of them is simply that chemistry and chemistry hobbyists in the United States are fast disappearing as the government, in its fear of terrorism and crystal meth, has systematically worked to eliminate any venue of Americans acquiring anything remotely dangerous to themselves or others.
God, crystal meth, God. All right. It's getting so bad with this crystal meth shit that the negative effects of the laws used to contain crystal meth are probably getting to be worse than crystal meth itself.
They're directly affecting me, which is something that doesn't have, like, foreign policy. Despite, the horrible possible, genocide type things going on in Iraq and all the horrible things our country does, it doesn't directly affect my day-to-day life yet.
No, it doesn't.
Crystal meth itself, people who use crystal meth, do not affect my life directly in any way. But the laws trying to stop them from doing their crystal meth are screwing me repeatedly and annoyingly.
I might as well just do crystal meth.
Nah.
At this point.
Nah, you really don't want to.
But it would be only slightly worse than all the things that the laws are doing to me.
Now, actually, to me, crystal meth is something that only exists because there's a war on drugs in the United States. Because crystal meth is a terrible, terrible drug. I mean, say what you will about people who smoke marijuana and people who use cocaine, but the negative health effects of marijuana, at least, are minimal. Crystal meth destroys a human being. No person who of any intelligence would use crystal meth if anything else were available. Yet, people manufacture and use crystal meth. And the reason they do so is that it's really one of the only drugs left in the world that any idiot can make from any chemicals they can get their hands on. As a result, the government has tried to make these chemicals illegal, even though these chemicals are highly useful in a wide variety of industries and applications. So now when I want, Sudafed because I have a cold, I have to sign a thing and show ID, and I can't buy more than X amount of it, and I have to go behind the counter, and a lot of places just won't stock it, and a lot of drugs are taking the Sudafed part out of their drug in order to not have to go through this. Luckily, we stocked up on all sorts of Sudafed and NyQuil.
All right.
Of course, I'm sure that flagged us as crystal meth manufacturers somewhere.
All right.
But it just seems that,
these laws aren't keeping the crystal meth people down. They're keeping normal people down.
And it's not just that. The government is really working fervently to take away anything that could be dangerous to anyone. Now, I note that for the vast majority of human existence on this earth, dangerous things abounded, and people died, and I guess the modern term for it is acceptable casualties, that there is a level or a rate of accidental death in a population that is acceptable, because it not to sound cruel, but it weeds out the stupid people. It also reminds the people who survive that you got to be careful. The world isn't Disneyland. The world is a dangerous place. You can go to the grocery store, and there are at least 100 things you can buy that are deadly if used improperly.
Let's see. Ammonia and bleach.
Yeah. See, they worry about, all these things. You could mix ammonia and bleach and make one hell of a chlorine gas bomb in short order.
Yep. But hell, you know what? You'll fucking get shit clean, goddammit.
Actually, I don't think it works so well.
It actually, if you take ammonia and bleach and wear like a gas mask or something and try to clean your kitchen floor, and you have a kitchen floor that won't be destroyed by ammonia and bleach together, goddamn will that be a clean kitchen floor, let me tell you.
Are you basing this on anything, or is this purely anecdotal?
I think I read a story somewhere once about someone who was stupid and mixed ammonia and bleach and cleaned their kitchen floor real nice, but like almost died and went to the hospital.
Great. That's the guy you want to listen to when you're looking for your advice on chlorine gas and bleach ammonia.
Well, I know that, it's something you should never do, but, I'm not about to do it to clean the floor.
Actually, I have a funny chlorine gas story from high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was actually it was when I was in middle school, but they bused me to the high school to take biology. So I was over in the high school with my biology, and I was like a little punk 8th grader, with the tood. And we're doing some lab. We had nitric acid and all sorts of things. And I forget exactly what was in the bottle, but there was a bottle of something. It might have been bleach. And this kid, I don't know I don't think it was bleach. It was something. This kid in the back of the room, and we're all working around. I hear him say, "Hey, I wonder what'll happen if I dump this in here." And I look up and I see him pouring nitric acid into an unlabeled bottle.
Uh-oh.
And gas started billowing out.
Uh-oh.
So I walked outside the room to the teacher and I said, "I think Craig just made a bomb of chlorine gas."
Awesome.
And the teacher walked back into the room and said, "Holy shit!" And we had to evacuate the school for like 2 hours. And he got
the whole school?
Well, they evacuated the school because someone pulled the fire alarm.
Oh.
And then 2 hours later, they let us back into the classroom, and he got fucking suspended. Of course, I note that they didn't expel him or call him a terrorist or anything like they probably would today.
Yeah, because he was just stupid. He wasn't trying to be all... a terrorist is someone who goes, "I got a bomb. You either give me $1 billion or I'll blow up the school." Someone who goes, "Oh shit, I accidentally made a chlorine bomb. Oh no," is not a terrorist.
I mean, I guess my favorite quotation nowadays is, "Never assign to malice or evil what can easily be explained by stupidity."
Indeed.
But I mean, in general, the gist of a lot of this article, as I'm trying to get back to my news story, is that the government and people who are wusses, or people who have gone through a loss and for some reason have decided that this is now their crusade, are trying to make America safe from everything. As a result, there's a generation of children growing up right now who don't know that the world is dangerous, or don't realize that it's very easy to hurt yourself, and a lot of people just go down like chumps, hit by a car, fall the wrong way in the grocery store and crack your head open and die. People die in weird, crazy, sudden ways.
Read Fark.
Yeah, God. Yeah, I could spend all day reading the Fark headlines that are relevant to this discussion.
Probably, yes.
I guess I'm really of the mind that you should obviously try to protect the majority of people from things. And you should obviously protect people from real, clear dangers.
Like if there's a high voltage fence, put a sign on it that says, "This fence is electrified," because there's no way to know looking at the fence.
Yeah, if a danger is non-obvious, then you should help protect people against it. If a danger is obvious and known, and protecting against it is more valuable to society than the benefit gained from ignoring it, then go nuts. But the moment your protections against something dangerous are worse than the actual effects of the dangerous thing, like, the fact that in many playgrounds nowadays, kids aren't allowed to run or play tag because running is dangerous and tag promotes fighting.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. That was a story. In fact, that was multiple stories about a month ago.
I think, actually, Penn Jillette had the greatest saying when it came to this. He said, "Let those who ride decide." And I think the problem here is that people who are not riding are deciding. It should be up to bikers whether they want to wear helmets or not.
Now, at the same time,
it should be up to kids whether they think playing tag is dangerous or not.
Well, if not the kid one for the helmets. Now, I would be fine if a city or a government passed a law saying if you would get in an accident without a helmet, we're not paying for your ass's
Yeah,
medical
no,
care.
the law is if you aren't wearing a helmet, the cop can pull you over and write you a ticket.
Oh, yeah, no, but
That's
my
the law
point
that
is
we
that
have now.
you should have the right to choose to do something stupid that won't harm anyone but you. However,
Indeed.
there should be laws to protect society from your stupid ass.
Yeah, but if I make a playground with swings and a seesaw and an old-fashioned jungle gym, you don't have to use it. If you're using it, you're accepting the risk.
Now, I say for kids, I mean, it would be all right if the parent could make that decision for a kid.
Yeah, a parent can say, I think that if I had a kid and I went to a playground that was all rusty with jagged metal shit and it was crawling with tetanus, I'd be like, you're not playing on that playground. But, well, you shouldn't force every town to make stupid shit playgrounds. Some parents want to let their kids play on real playgrounds.
Yeah.
Some kids want to play, all kids want to play on real playgrounds, and they should be allowed to do so. You shouldn't, it's okay to keep people safe or to decide for yourself that you don't want to do something you might think is dangerous. But you shouldn't be allowed to deny other people their freedom to take risks, as long as those people recognize the risk they are taking and accept, their fault if someone gets hurt.
Yep. The problem is a lot of people, and I think this is a byproduct, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't able to recognize when a situation is dangerous. Now, my best way to explain this with a simple kind of an analogy is, at amusement parks how they have those like gas-powered cars that you can drive them on a little track with your family, but there's a like wire or a cable under it so you can't actually drive it off the track?
Yep.
Now, those are at every amusement park, and kids love them. But kids know nowadays that you are 100% safe at an amusement park because, they strap you in and everything's set up to where you can't really hurt yourself. So every kid, when they're going around the corner and they see the tree, they turn the wheel and go straight for the tree because they know the thing will save them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is getting that way in real life, too. People hold their hands up on a roller coaster because they know that no roller coaster would be set up so that your hands could hit and hurt yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They stick their hand as far into the lion cage as they can because they know that it's set up so the lion can't get them. In the real world, it's not that way, and things are dangerous.
And it can never be that way. If you did make it that way, we would be the lions in the cage, and the lions would be roaming free.
I mean, I think that as kids grow up in these sterile environments where they're protected from every possible danger, and none of them have the example of breaking their arm once and realizing that it sucks to break your arm, or having their friend break his hip and knowing that it really sucks to break your hip. They won't recognize danger when they're really confronted with it, and as a result, they're not able to deal with it. Then, as a result, when something finally happens, the survivors of them, who also can't recognize danger, realize that a law needs to be passed to protect people from this, and it gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, if you're a kid and you never had a swing to jump off of, then you don't really know how high you can jump and fall off a swing without getting hurt.
Yep, when I was a kid, I learned that after about 15 feet, it really fucking hurt to fall off of something.
Yep.
And you know what? Nowadays, I know exactly how far I can fall before I risk hurting myself.
Let me summarize this whole thing a little less eloquently. You ready?
I'm ready.
You're all a bunch of sissies, and if you get in my way, I'm going to kick your ass.
If I'm elected mayor, I'll kill a lot of you and burn your town to cinders.
Exactly. We're making a country of wusses. And as soon as all the old people die and we're left with just the wusses, someone's going to come over here and beat the shit out of us, and we'll deserve it, goddammit.
I mean, I guess, look, 50 years ago,
sissies.
Not that many kids died on playgrounds. Nowadays, a tiny percentage fewer children die on playgrounds, but playgrounds suck 1,000% more.
Yep. Adults always, this is one of my major gripes, because I come from a town that is literally 90% houses, and in half those houses were families with kids, and in half those houses were old people. And they were basically in a constant battle between the old people who didn't want to pay school tax and the families who wanted awesome family shit. And people always wonder, why are kids doing drugs? Why are kids having sex and making teenage girls pregnant? Why are kids getting drunk? Why are kids doing all this stuff? Because you took away everything else fun because it was extremely less dangerous.
Yep. I mean, luckily, where I grew up, there was, though apparently this has changed, and it's actually kind of sad to me that I can think back through my life and watch the progression. Like, when I was a kid, my parents complained about how playgrounds weren't the way they used to be. And then as I grew up, they just got worse. Mm-hmm. And schools and everything. But at least where I grew up,
they got better for a short time. When they built all those giant wooden castles.
Yep, but then they took those away.
Yep.
And then they built really low to the ground plastic shit castles. Shitsels.
Yep.
But I grew up in an area where, I think it was mostly because it was Michigan, where there was no mass transit or anything, and there were a lot of roads.
Let's change our topic for today to just this instead.
Right, that's good. We'll do the airline industry some other time.
Yes.
So everyone had cars, and and kids who didn't have cars knew people who had cars. So when you were 12 or 13, you knew a 15-year-old who had a car, and as a result, we were mostly free. So we would all go hang out in an ice cream shop, or we'd all drive to the amusement park on a random day in the summer, and there was stuff to do. As a result, in my neighborhood, there was very little drug use, there was very little teenage alcoholism, and things were going pretty well. Bit by bit, parents have not allowed their kids to do anything back in my hometown. Won't let them drive around. They can't get their licenses till they're 18 now. And as a result, drug problems started appearing, and alcohol problems started appearing, because kids had nothing to fuck do.
Yeah, gee, I'm bored. What can I do? Well, I can play video games, but I'm a kid with no job and no money, so I can't have...
Oh, no, and video games are dangerous.
Yeah,
that too. Can't buy video games.
Can't buy the fun video games, but even when you can, kids don't have enough money to buy enough video games so that they can entertain themselves all the time. Kids can't afford to do hobbies we do, like building plenty of computers and... expensive $40 board games.
My parents would take me to an arcade like once a month.
Yeah, we only went to arcades on vacations just because there weren't any.
Now, now it's like that real life comic. I can go to an arcade and spend $1,000 if I want to, and no one will stop me.
Yep. God, that's bad. We shouldn't do that.
It was actually a good thing I flew to Animazement. It prevented me from buying anything in the dealer's room. Yeah.
Yeah, so... the old people complain about, kids having a loud dance party. But if kids are smoking weed in their room, no one will know and no one will complain.
Yep, until they find out they're smoking weed, and then they'll complain.
It's this one thing that kids can do has a consequence. Skiing. There's a consequence. You might break your legs and die.
Yeah.
The average injury of skiing is not so bad. I mean, you may break an arm. Something.
Yeah, very few people die skiing unless you're skiing on like a black diamond or a double black diamond.
But you can easily prevent people from skiing. You just close the ski mountain. Now no one can ski.
No. Remember that Google video of those kids trying to ski down that sand dune in a box?
Yeah, but you can't get, you can easily prevent people from doing real skiing on snowy mountains. You turn off the snow machines, you ID people before you let them on the ski lift. It's very easy to stop. It's very hard to stop people from doing drugs and having sex and all sorts of other things that have much, much worse consequences. So, they prevent anything they can, and the only holes they leave open are, things that have far worse consequences. And they don't realize they're basically forcing their kids to do the worst thing possible or sit around and do nothing. I mean... we should go find some parents who are doing this kind of shit and say, well, what do you think your kid should do after school? And they'll say, homework. All right, he finishes his homework in 20 minutes because he's not an idiot. Now what should your kid do? Watch TV? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's scary, but I was actually talking a few days ago to a friend of mine who is living still in Sterling Heights back where, I don't know if he's living there now, but he was there. He was talking about it. We were catching up on, old business. When I grew up, in Detroit and New Baltimore and Sterling Heights and all those places, if I, on a random summer day or a day after school, just got on my bike and went off into the neighborhood, within about 5 minutes, I'd run into a whole pack of kids, and we would roam around doing kid things all day.
When I was a kid on my block, there was a kid who lived down one street and two kids who lived down the other street. And pretty much after school... everyone would be doing something in their yard or maybe playing a video game in their house. And before you knew it, everyone would go around on their bikes, knock on each other's doors if they were inside, and play wiffle. I remember we played wiffle ball every night for a whole summer until it snowed and we couldn't play anymore.
Yeah. But I mean, if you walked around outside, on any given nice day, if the weather was nice, there were kids everywhere, outside, running around, just doing stuff.
When my mom was a kid, she lived in Queens, New York, kids you used to tell your 8-year-old kid, go walk down the street to the grocery store and get some eggs. You don't do that anymore. Your kid can't go out in the street alone.
Yeah, nowadays, as my friend was telling me, he went back to the hometown. He was, driving around, just looking at the old sites, seeing what was built new. It was a beautiful sunny day, but not a kid to be seen. There was like one kid playing catch with his dad in their front yard. And other than that, there's nothing. The streets were empty.
See, the cause of this, as I see it, right, is...
I think it's a combination of video games, TV, and mean world syndrome.
Well, I think there's a perception that the world is more dangerous.
Yes. Have you ever heard the term mean world syndrome?
Is that what that is?
Yes. Actually, I have a book on it over there. I'm not going to go get it, but we studied this quite a bit in our communications classes. Basically, mean world syndrome is something that has come up basically since World War II, where they've really studied it, where people have a perception of reality, and then there's the actual reality. For example, they would ask people, do you know or know anyone who knows someone who was involved in a murder or who was murdered? And think questions like that.
Nope.
And they compare those. Actually, my answer really is yes.
Mm-hmm.
But then they compare those answers to the actual crime statistics. Or, things like that. And to not get into a lot of detail, in America, in modern America, it is shown that people perceive the crime rate and the dangers of the outside world to be far greater than the actual crime rates.
That's rather obvious.
And part of the reason for this, and there are a lot of reasons.
The news.
Is that...
The news is number one.
Yes, the news reports mostly on bad news.
So all you do every night is come home, turn on the TV, and you watch 10 stories about terrible things that happen near you. And you begin to think... The outside world is terrible, just like the news.
Yep, and it's not just the news. I mean, TV shows and media, they all play a part in it.
I mean, the most popular TV shows, my grandma only watches police shows. There are that many shows about police and criminals doing bad stuff and then going to jail.
But it's just that people are much more afraid of the world than the world warrants, at least in the United States.
Mm-hmm. It's not... See, here's the other problem is you have kids playing on the block, right? Then parents begin to think that there's dangerous child predators out there, and maybe there are, maybe there aren't.
But you know what? There were back in the 50s, and there were back in the 1900s. Yep. And you know what? There were probably the same number back in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm. And so parents start to protect their kids and don't let them play outside anymore. Well, now... Because there are no kids outside, it becomes a more dangerous place. See, if you go somewhere and there's a bunch of kids hanging out outside, criminals don't go there. That's how it is. And anyone who does go over there is either a parent or a pedophile.
Well, it's like we've said many times, and this is for anyone who hasn't ever lived in a big city. The dangerous neighborhoods are not the ones where dangerous minorities or punk-looking kids are hanging out in the street all the time.
Yeah, if you see people hanging out in the street, that's an awesome party in the street neighborhood.
Or in the very least, it's an okay neighborhood. It might be a little scuzzy, but it's not dangerous.
Yeah, those might be all homeless drunk guys, but even then, it's
That's
not
still
dangerous.
A step up. The scary neighborhoods are the places where all the windows are barred and no one is outside.
Yeah, see, if no one lets their kids outside, then you can't let your kid outside and be the only one, because then it actually is dangerous. There's not a bunch of kids, running about having fun to scare away criminals and, unwanted folks.
Plus, kids watch out for each other.
Yeah, but if everyone lets their kids outside and you have this whole block full of kids, even if it's just 5 kids, no one's going to come and try to molest one of the kids, and you can't get all 5 of them.
Yeah, but...
just even if one of them is smart, you're okay.
But little Billy might skin his knee. We have to protect him from the dangerous world.
No one ever died from skinning their knee. In fact...
yeah, people have died from that sort of thing.
Well, they deserve to die.
Yeah. I mean, skinning your knee, take that to the extreme, like road rash from falling off a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not skinning your knee from a bike crash.
That's skinning your knee. It's just skinning a lot of other things, too.
No, it's not the same. Well, road rash you.
Yeah. I think I told that story where I skinned my knees real bad to the bone, and I'd ride my bike home when I was a little kid. Yeah. And my grandma was home, and she screamed. And yeah, trail of blood. You know what? Those were good times. I think back upon all the times I hurt myself fondly.
Yeah.
Because I never hurt myself bad enough to die. I'm still here. And the kids that did hurt themselves bad enough to die, I hate to say it, but actually I don't know anyone who hurt themselves and died. I know some people who broke bones, and they mostly deserved it, and I think they were slightly smarter as a result of it.
Yeah, I never broke a bone, but I hurt myself plenty of times.
I broke my pinky toe twice. Same pinky toe.
Oh, no, I did. I broke my collarbone.
Yeah, I also had a bee sting that pinky bone.
You know, and that's how kids learn is it's safe to do this, it's not safe to do that. And maybe there are things that aren't safe to do, but then kids build the skills to do it safely. I remember we used to you'd have a playground and one kid would do something on the playground and all the other kids who have never done that would go, ooh. Like maybe he would, like I had the standard swing set, a slide on one end, and then
monkey bars down the middle.
A couple swings, a swinging bar, and, one of my friends went up there and he walked across the top of it, which is definitely not the purpose of it. Yeah. Now, if he would have fallen, he might have hurt himself pretty bad.
He might have done like what that kid in the trampoline basketball dunk video did.
Something similar. It was pretty much a 10-foot drop and then grass and dirt. That's what would have happened. So, we saw him do this and we were like, whoa. Now, I went up to try and do it because that's what kids did in those days, unlike the wusses of today. And I was like, oh, shit, this is too dangerous. And I stopped doing it. But then eventually, I could do it. I didn't hurt myself.
Yep. Like our thing was, in my elementary school, Green Elementary, we had really tall swings, like old school giant-ass swings. They were really big.
Yeah, I like big swings with the big chains.
Yep.
And just a piece of rubber between two long-ass chains.
Yep, and none of that plastic over the chains or anything. It was just a chain.
Yeah.
There was some rust there.
Yep. That's the stuff.
Now, I remember when recess came, everyone would line up at the door, and then they'd blow the whistle, which meant it's recess time, and you would bolt like high hell, because there were only like 20 swings, and there were like 400 kids.
Whoa, they let all of them out at once?
I don't know how many they allowed at once. I don't remember.
That's crazy.
It was a huge playground. There's all sorts of other stuff to do, and there were other swings, but there were 20 of these like big swings. And when you got on one of those bastards, you didn't leave. Now, some kids would just swing normal like. But then there were the daredevils who would either jump off, which I often did, or they'd try to pull a Tarzan thing where they jump off and then try to like Tarzan themselves back.
Oh, God. That's dangerous.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Now, the time when it got really interesting was, one, there were kids who would run the gauntlet. I think you can figure out what the gauntlet was. And many a kid got pooned. Twas all in good fun.
Yeah.
But the worst thing was some people realized that, I don't remember what they called the game, but once you got swinging pretty much at the maximum level of swinging, because now there's that point at which you really can't get higher.
Yeah, you're pretty much doing the whole 178 degrees.
Yeah, like you get up like just above the bar, and you go up so high that you kind of fall a little bit before the chain catches.
Yeah, you go up so high the chain kind of goes lax.
Yeah. And you know what?
Because you're not keeping the chain taut for the whole swing.
And I learned as a kid right away that once that starts happening, don't try to swing higher.
Nope, because you will die.
Yeah, you always heard the stories of, he's going to go over the bar. Did you hear what happened to Brian? He went over the bar.
No one's ever gone over the bar.
A kid almost went over the bar and he broke his neck at my elementary school.
Oh.
Yeah, he was okay. I mean, he broke his neck, but it didn't sever the spine. He just had to wear this terrible monstrosity for many months.
Yeah.
He got up like 160, 170 degrees and then just kind of fell on his head.
Oh.
It was terrible. No one ever tried that shit again.
No. Because, if you don't let kids swing, then they don't know how high they can swing.
And if they don't see
you swing this high, babies.
If you don't see another kid break his neck, then you won't realize that you could possibly break your neck someday.
Yep. I mean, if you never get into a fight with anyone, you don't know how to fight. And if someday someone comes to kick your ass, you're fucked.
Yeah, I got in a bunch of little fights when I was a kid.
Oh, I sure did too.
Some of them were scrappy. One time I got ambushed and punched in the balls.
It's like until you're punched in the face and you punch someone in the face, you don't know really how it goes.
Yep. You only need to do it once.
Yep.
Because one, you realize if you don't punch right, you'll hurt yourself more than you'll hurt them.
And if all you know about punching is what you see on TV, your impression's going to be real wrong.
Yeah, you don't just wind up and pop a guy in the chin and then he goes down. You start winding up and suddenly he's wailing on you.
Yep. I think they should bring boxing back to schools.
If not boxing, some martial art.
Well, boxing is good because anyone can do it, and it doesn't really, it's real simple.
Yeah, the problem is you don't want to have kids do that a lot because boxing has a lot of long-term consequences.
No, you don't do it a lot, but the example is my bio teacher in 11th grade. I'll never forget that he told us this story. Because there was some fight in the hallway, and he's like...
I think we've actually already talked about this on the show.
Did I talk about it on the show?
I'm pretty sure you told this story, but go ahead, tell it again. Just tell the brief version.
I've told it to you. I don't know if I've told it on the show.
Yeah, I'm like 60-40 that you've told it, but I don't know.
Anyway.
So go nuts. We got whatever.
Doesn't matter. We have plenty of new listeners.
Yeah.
We can reuse some stuff. Make a clip show someday.
Yeah, so we do this podcast.
Right. So there was a fight in the hallway, and he said, and he's an old guy, so he's like, back in my day, if two kids got into a fight, the teachers would grab them, pull them apart, bring him down to the gym, put him in boxing gloves, and throw him in the ring. Then we take bets. And I was like, yeah, that was great. Two kids want to fight. They say, hey, none of this bullshit in the hallways. You're going to fight like real men, and we're going to see who really wins.
Yep, or when I was in 7th grade, and I got into a big fight with a kid, and we, beat on each other for a while. And the teachers came, and they just kind of stood there until we finished. Kids fighting can't really hurt each other so much, so they tend to just tire out, and the fight becomes like you're kind of locked at the shoulders, kind of pushing at each other. And at that point, after we tired ourselves off, they broke it up. And nowadays, if you get into a fight, they just fucking expel you.
Yep.
Or call the police or suspend. You know what they did? They suspended us both for one day. So for the next day, we had to sit in the office next to each other, quiet.
I had that too.
And most of it was, we totally got in a fight. Yeah. That was awesome. Yeah, it was.
I also had that. So.
Can't do that anymore. Zero tolerance policies, which we should do a whole show on, even though we talk about
zero
them often.
tolerance 99% of zero tolerance policies are bullshit.
They exist solely so that people in charge of schools don't have to make decisions because they're afraid that if they make a decision, they might get sued. If they follow a policy, then they can't personally be sued. And
they should just make a policy besides the zero tolerance policy and follow that policy.
The problem is then the school gets sued anyway and loses the money. The zero tolerance is like the safest way.
Someone should sue the school for the zero tolerance policy.
See, the problem here is it goes back to this parents are overprotective and stupid. A parent will sue the school at the drop of a hat now. So the school is they're more afraid of litigation than they are of kids hurting themselves. So there's an incentive if a kid has problems. Like say a kid is picked on. In the old days, the school would help them, or maybe they wouldn't, but they do something. Nowadays, there is a great incentive to kick that kid out of school, the kid being picked on, because he's the one that's most likely going to cause a problem. Either, well, not cause the problem, but be the problem. Either his parents are going to sue because he got picked on, or he's going to lash out, or there'll be a fight, and then there'll be a lawsuit, or something.
Yeah, that's usually the reason that the kids who are picked on are targeted by the administration is because, kids picking on each other, well, there's no liability there if some kid says to another kid, you're stupid poopy pants. That happens all the time. No one has a problem with that.
But then
at least not a legal problem.
But then that kid gets pissed off.
Yeah,
and finally,
but the kid who's picked on is the kid who throws the first punch. So he's the problem. If they take there are plenty of bullies around the school. I mean, if there's one kid worthy of being picked on, like Star Wars kid, there's one Star Wars kid, the whole class makes fun of Star Wars kid together. You can't. It's either the whole class or Star Wars kid. One of them has got to go. So it's very easy to just take all the loser kids out of your school. There's maybe 20 of them per, I guess 500 kids. Maybe there's 20 kids being picked on. Just get rid of them and the rest of the school's fine.
Now, that's really a terrible precedent.
Yep.
I mean, now, not only are these kids kicked out of the school, even though they didn't do anything.
Yeah, and they're usually smarter kids.
Yep, they
didn't do anything yet.
Yeah, but it's just the school is so afraid of litigation that they'll harm children in order to protect themselves from lawsuits.
Mm-hmm. What they have to do is kids who are getting picked on, they have to figure out why those kids are being picked on and get those kids to change their ways.
Yeah, but at the same time, people are being picked on for stupid reasons. Then you take care of that and you stop the bully somehow.
Well, we had an whole episode on bullying, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
I think the summary was, if bullies cross the line, then they're bad. But if they don't cross the line, then the picked on kid is doing something stupid.
Yeah. Well, I guess my main take on it is look at society. You don't like if someone has a silly belief, like a stupid belief, or does something stupid. Like say we're walking down the street and someone's like
smoking.
Yeah, or eggs cure cancer, and they're smearing eggs into their hair.
Yep.
Just to have a crazy example.
And they believe it. They're not lying.
Now, they have a right to believe that. They have a right to do whatever they want to do because it doesn't harm me that some guy's smashing eggs into his hair all day. But you know what? It's my right to make fun of him publicly.
Freedom of speech. You do not have a right to not be offended.
In fact, I generally think that when it comes to children and young adults, it's a different situation because when you're that young, bullying and picking on can actually have an effect on your life, and it's a bad thing, and kids are kids and kids do their stupid things. So it's a whole different ballpark, and you really have to, deal with it in ways that are complicated. Once you're an adult, if you get picked on as an adult, there's nothing to be done about that. Freedom of speech.
See, I'll go so far even to say that hate speech and what's the other kind? Sexual harassment speech. Only speech. Grabbing boobies is right out. Burning crosses on people's lawns and lynching people is right out.
Yeah.
But saying, I guess I'll Jewish so I can say kike on the show and no one will think I'm a racist. Saying, hey, you dirty kikes. Or saying, what was I? Oh, sexual harassment. Hey, those are some nice knockers you got there. Mind if I grab them sometime? Saying that, it's okay to say that shit. At least I say it's okay to say that shit.
I mean, it may not be okay in terms of it's taboo.
Politeness.
Or it's not polite, or it's just a stupid
And if someone says that to you, you can slap them. Got no problem with that.
I mean, basically, people have a right to be a stupid asshole or an ignorant prick. The problem
freedom
is
of speech means the right to say stupid shit. No one cares if you say smart shit. No one's ever going to argue with you if you say something smart. Unless you're a stupid person.
I submit to you evolution.
Yeah, no, but the point is, people are only going to get mad at speech that is disruptive speech. And freedom of speech isn't the right to say the normal speech. You don't need a right to say normal speech because it's not under attack. It doesn't need protection.
I mean, I forget.
You have to protect the stupid, evil, fucktard speech.
I forget who it was who said this, but I think it was a Supreme Court justice. I'm pretty sure I quoted this on the show a while ago. But there was someone who said, he gave a long write-up of free speech and the ramifications. And basically he came to the conclusion that any freedom comes with risk. If you give people the freedom to do X, then there's the risk that doing X will cause Y. If you give people the freedom of speech, there's the chance that they'll use that freedom to do stupid, horrible things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the issue with a free society is that a free society is one not wherein people let anything happen or where it's just crazy anarchy. It's a society where people accept the risk of the freedoms they want. And if they cannot accept the risk of a certain freedom, then they agree to give up that freedom to alleviate the risk. If you accept the risk of a freedom, you have to accept the consequences. There's really no middle ground there.
It seems like people want the freedom to say everything they want except the things they don't like.
Yeah, that's not cool. Now, if you don't like the idea of freedom of speech or you don't like the risks of having freedom of speech.
You can go somewhere where there isn't freedom of speech.
Yeah, I mean, people should have the right to create a society for themselves where you don't have a freedom if they really fear the consequences of that freedom.
But you can't force me into your society.
Yes.
You can, if you don't like saying fuck, you can, never say fuck, and you can go somewhere where people don't say fuck. Make a little commune or whatever, I don't care. As long as you don't prevent me from saying fuck, then I don't care. Now, but if you want to prevent me from saying fuck, well, fuck you.
In regards to saying fuck, this happened a long time ago, but it wasn't national news, it was just local news, but it made me very happy about my home state of Michigan. There was a case that went to the Michigan State Supreme Court many years ago where a guy was canoeing. I think it was at Belle Isle or somewhere, and he flipped his canoe over. So he basically said, fuck, 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 shit, damn it, son of a bitch, fuck, fuck, like this stream of obscenities.
I would have said that if I flipped my canoe over.
Now, there were some parents with kids on the shore who overheard. There was a law that you can't swear in public. An old law. So the parents got this guy arrested. And there was this whole thing. And in the end, it got taken all the way up to the Supreme Court of the state. And the Supreme Court ruled...
That's kind of confusing because in New York, the Supreme Court is the first court.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. Don't ignore New York courts. Ignore them. When the Supreme Court is the first court, you know something's wrong.
Yeah, this was the highest court in the state of Michigan.
There you go.
And it couldn't go higher than that unless it became a constitutional issue, which it didn't because this court ruled correctly. They ruled either unanimously or almost unanimously that the Supreme Court precedent that obscene speech, which is one of the few types of speech that can be regulated by the government, obscene speech is only considered obscene if it one, appeals to a prurient nature in man, and two, conveys no meaning or conveys no actual idea. And they ruled that this man was conveying his anger, and therefore there is nothing wrong with what he said, and there can be no law abridging his right to say those words.
Everyone should just watch the Penn and Teller bullshit episode about cursing.
Yeah, I mean, bear in mind, the Penn and Teller show is great, but it's definitely entertainment, and they don't always, I don't know, fully vet out their opinions.
Some episodes are better than others.
Yeah.
Like the episode about how college is no good, they spent 2 minutes talking about how college is no good, which I think was a pretty weak argument, and spent the rest of the episode talking about how diversity in college is stupid.
Yeah.
Which they basically were redundant many times.
Or their show where they took we are very freedom libertarian, but they took a very pro-smoking stance in one of their episodes.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I agree with their ideals. The problem is the evidence they used to back it up was kind of flimsy and proven wrong later.
Yeah, and their argument was like, you can't prove that secondhand smoke causes cancer.
You know what? I can prove that secondhand smoke smells like an asshole.
Yeah. You can smoke all you want as long as the smoke never goes anywhere near me because it doesn't matter if it causes cancer. It's unpleasant, and you cannot force your unpleasantness on me.
Now, you know what? I have a very simple solution to this, and if it ever becomes an issue, it's not an issue in New York State anymore because they made smoking in most places illegal.
It still sucks on the streets.
Yeah, but you know what? That's fine because I can eat in my restaurants now.
Yep.
That's the only thing I hate about going to the Jersey Shore is I walk into a restaurant and they say smoking or non, and I look at them for a second like, what? Oh, right. Jersey.
Well, not New York.
Yeah. Though a bunch of other states have banned smoking. And,
yay, those states.
And actually, a lot of states haven't banned it, but most good restaurants ban it on their own anyway because it keeps riffraff out. And it keeps generally the people that suck out.
It's weird that smoking is so expensive and most people who do it are poor.
Like that homeless lady on our street?
Yeah, it's like, are they poor because they're smoking and spending all their money on it? Or are they smoking because their lives are poor and shitty? You know, and then the rich people who smoke, what are they thinking? Oh, they're only smoking like expensive cigars.
But my solution to the whole debate about secondhand smoke is very simple. All right, fine. You can have your right to smoke cigarettes in public places around other people. I then have my right to burn my sulfur sticks in public places around you. It's no different. It doesn't harm you in any way.
Yeah, I can carry my stink bombs around while I wear my gas mask.
Yeah, I can choose not to shower.
Well...
Goddamn hippies.
Yeah. You can choose to wear a cologne that smells terrible. Not showering has other effects, such as spreading of disease.
Yeah.
So that's a little different.
But I would love to see a movement of punk kids going around to smokers in public places burning sulfur sticks.
Let's get some fucking sulfur sticks and do it.
Well, I don't want to smell like sulfur.
No, what we do is when there's a group of smokers standing around like a door of a building, we just throw a sulfur stick on the ground and keep walking.
Actually, we should do it Michael Moore style, where we have a hidden camera and we film it, and we pay punk kids to walk over and stand there with the sulfur kit.
Ooh.
Yeah. You know what? I think once we get that video camera, we'll have to do a few video podcasts of Michael Moore type crap.
We're gonna have to buy a video camera.
Yeah, because we're real good at causing scenes. If anyone doesn't realize this,
if anyone is unawares, let's end this episode soon. There's the episode of The Simpsons where Homer is hanging with the hippies. Isn't it like Ben and Jerry or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and they drive around town freaking squares. That's what we do. We freak the squares.
Yeah, both purposefully and by accident.
Yes. Yes, we do.
It's one of our favorite pastimes to do something weird in public and just watch people not know how to deal with it.
Are you wanting to end the episode with the things of the day?
Yeah, so much for a short episode.
Well, our original plan was to do an episode about airlines and public transportation and that shit, but I guess that went out the window pretty quick.
Yep, but as a result, since we did the main bit just now, we'll do the things of the day, and that's it.
I don't even know what this episode was about.
All right, so my thing of the day is real quick. I don't really need to say much about it. Remember, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch?
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
Well, those guys, because there were a lot of really clever jokes in that Juggernaut bit. How they were just masked by the fact that the audio was kind of terrible. It was easy to miss them.
Yeah, they were mumbling a lot, and sometimes the volume was too low, and I couldn't tell what they were saying, and sometimes what they were saying was very quick, or it cut away, and I couldn't really make out the joke. But if you pay attention, there's a lot of funny jokes in there.
So they've gotten together again, and they're going to start doing a whole bunch of episodes. And they've started now with part 1 of the X-Men in Space series. They're just going to go through the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And the production values have increased significantly. The jokes are much better, and there are a lot of really clever little quips in there.
Yep, but you know what? I don't think it's going to fly because you need the catchphrase, and there's no new catchphrase.
No. There are, however, funny scenes.
See, that's really why All Your Base took off and stuff like didn't, is because All Your Base had catchphrases, things that people could repeat and would repeat.
Yep. I mean, you can have a thing like the Juggernaut thing, that has its own, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yep.
But this new one, it's really funny, but it's not a gestalt. It's not portable.
It's like Simpsons. Without I Caramba, Simpsons wouldn't be here right now.
But anyway, I'm not going to say much more about the Juggernaut thing, and I'm not going to make any more of my things of the day about this. I just wanted to note to all of you out there that this is now a continuing series that I find hilarious in a terrible, terrible way.
Yep. All right, my thing of the day is pretty cool. Hey, Rem, if you could live in any structure, what structure would you live in? What variety of structure?
I would live in some sort of interdimensional, traveling, awesome
an existing,
castle
known to exist
of some kind.
There you go, castle.
You were waiting for me to say the word castle, weren't you?
That was.
I almost said manor house. You're lucky I said castle.
Of course, how could you want to live in a manor house instead of a castle?
You know why? Because it sucks to heat and cool castles without magic. So unless you teach me some magic, castles suck ass.
Castles are awesome, and if you want a castle, you can go to my thing of the day. It's a website with a bunch of castles that you can buy and live in if you really want to. Some of them actually look nice. They all seem to have pools instead of moats, though. I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, if you want to live in a castle, there's the website to hit up. There's even a feudal castle, which is wicked cool. Check this thing out. Like, freaking giant-ass ballroom with a long table and the giant rug.
I wouldn't feel comfortable in a place like that without a manservant.
It comes with a manservant. He's right there. Because, see, there's the guy playing golf, and he's peeing into the other guy's cupped hand.
His name would have to be either Norman or Alfred, or I wouldn't deal with it.
You could name him whatever you want as long as you're paying him. Let's see,
Norfred.
This castle costs 26 million euros. So that's more than $26 million, isn't it?
You know what? Forget that. We'll just buy a PlayStation 3.
Oh, okay. PlayStation 3 or castle. Cake or death.
All right. I think we're done for the week. Once
we'll
again,
be back.
We'll be in Philly on Saturday and Sunday or Friday night. We'll be in Wildwood Saturday and Sunday. We'll be going to cons constantly.
Yeah, we'll probably be going to Anime Next for at least one day.
Yeah, Kineticon.
Yeah, when's Kineticon?
I don't know.
I gotta go check on that right now.
But we're gonna go to it.
Probably. It's too close not to.
Yeah, anyway, once again, to all of our new listeners, welcome. I'm going to bed. And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.
job where I actually do work as opposed to a job where I can mostly just kind of surf the web. I don't surf the web at all in my free time.
Yeah, I got to get one of those jobs there.
I only look at the internet like once when I come home from work for a little bit, and then right before I do the show. And then if someone's online, I'll chat with them for a little bit, and then I'll go to sleep.
I mostly only visit, this list of websites that I have feeds for, and I just get information from those sites. I don't go browsing around for new stuff all the time. Actually, hardly ever.
But you do seem to go to those sites a lot.
I go to them maybe 5-6 times a day because they update. The ones that only update once a day, I read once a day. And like Penny Arcade, I'll go once a day. Maybe.
Realize I only check FARC once a day now. If that.
Yeah. No, but I'll go to Dig maybe
I guess
6 times.
Poking around on the internet looking for news is fine and all if I have nothing better to do because, I was at work where I couldn't really do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But surfing the internet is pretty much at the bottom of my list over everything else I could be doing with my free time.
Yeah, I just gotta get myself up to actually making something.
Just do it.
Yeah, it's really, the first step is the biggest one, and as soon as I start something, I can't stop doing it.
So do it.
I gotta actually do it.
Well, then do it. Just do it. Why don't you just do it?
It's not that easy.
Yes, it is. You could just start. You could just sit down and say, I'm going to do X and start doing it.
It's real hard when there's this real fun game to play instead.
Oh, so then you don't have any willpower.
Yeah, I do. I just don't want to. I'd rather play the game. My will makes me play the game instead of doing something else.
So then why do you want to do something else? Because obviously the game is the only thing you really want to do.
Yeah, it is what I really want to do. Until it's done, then I don't want to do it anymore.
Okay. I get sick of games real quick nowadays, too.
Yeah, me too. That's why it's a damn good game.
Nah.
To keep me interested.
I'll play it someday. I really don't have any interest in buying a faster computer anytime soon.
Yeah, you haven't played it yet. If you actually played it, you'd be like, ah.
Oh, yeah, it's probably a great game. But keep in mind, I never played Half-Life 1 until a few years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So I'll probably play Half-Life 2 a few years from now.
Yeah, if it's still... See, that's the thing, is that Steam could, at any minute disappear, and then it's done. So, for real news, S&P, which is Standard & Poor's, if you did not know, there's some businessy group, I guess. They have, the S&P 500, like the 500 companies that are awesome, I guess.
I think everyone knows what the S&P is.
All right.
And if they don't know, they probably don't care.
It's some business thing. Anyway, what they do is they recommend which stocks you should buy and which ones you should sell. So, that's how things work. Now, recommendations for stocks are largely bullshit. And I'm not going to talk about that now, but I am going to talk about the recommendation on one particular stock by analyst John Yang. Now, the previous recommendation for this stock was the worst recommendation possible.
Legal and unwarranted, and they may possibly sue for a violation of whatever rights they have in Sweden.
Yeah, I don't know how Sweden court works, though. Usually a lot of those European courts have the professional judges, so it's tricky.
So if any of you out there are in Sweden and know anything about Swedish law, give us a buzz.
I know about the Swedish chef, but I do not know about the Swedish law. Yeah.
So you have any actual news?
Let's see. Oh, we're going to Wizard World Philly Saturday. So if you want to see us, we'll be there.
If you happen to be in Wildwood, New Jersey, Saturday night and Sunday, let us know before we leave, and maybe we'll see you on the beach.
Yep. Half-Life 2 Episode 1 came out today. I'm playing it. It's worth...
He's playing it to the exclusion of life. He basically locked himself in his room all day.
Well, I don't got anything else to do. I mean, what would I have done if I wasn't playing it?
I don't know. Read a book, go outside.
Do I do any of those things usually?
You pretty much just sit in front of your computer anyway.
So, what's the difference? I'm just running a different piece of software this time.
I don't know how you can do it. I get sick of sitting in front of my computer after, several hours.
As long as there's something to do on the computer.
There's an infinite number of things to do. You could never run out of things to do on a computer.
Then why are you questioning, I don't know how you could be so sit in front of it for so long. And then immediately you answer your own question.
Well, because I find most of the things you can do useless.
Oh, well, I don't do those things.
I mean, I've gotten to the point where I don't even really surf the web anymore. Now that I have a job... It's Thursday, June 1st, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we originally were going to talk about the airline industry, but we got sidetracked by chemistry and bullies and all sorts of fun stuff.
Let's do this.
So it's about 1,000 degrees, and the humidity is about 1 billion here right now.
But it rained, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, it rained and the humidity got worse because the rain kind of fell and then stuck around.
So it's like the air couldn't hold any more water, but it was so hot that water was evaporating and it wanted to go where there was no room for it. So it rained to make room for new humidity that immediately filled the vacant area where the rain used to be.
I was walking around downstairs and there's you can feel the water everywhere in the carpet, on the walls, and all the furniture.
We need to get us a fan down there.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to stay up here in my airtight, air-conditioned room.
I'm going to stay upstairs in my airtight, air-conditioned room.
Though this weekend we will be at the beach.
Unless the weather is terrible.
If it's terrible, we'll probably go anyway.
Yeah, we won't go to the beach. We'll go to the...
we'll go to the shore.
Yes.
We'll look at the beach from the house.
Yeah. And probably play some games.
In other news, because we've done long episodes for most of the week, and because it's late and we're tired and we're going out of town tomorrow, this won't be the longest episode.
No, it won't be. It'll be quite terse.
If you wanted a long episode, try listening to yesterday or the day before, which were both very long.
At least long for us.
Yeah, well, I've noticed that the length of our episodes has been creeping upward ever slowly.
Well, let's try to put a cap on that.
Yeah, I mean, originally, when we first started doing this, it was tough to make it out to the 45 minutes we'd always kind of shot for.
Yeah, well, practice and then actually having something to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, when we can't think of something to talk about and we pick some crap-ass topic for the day, it doesn't go very long.
Yeah, except that we've gotten good at talking about those crap-ass topics because we've done it so often.
Yeah, but when we talk about a real good topic, it goes even longer.
Yep, I mean, I could have gone another couple hours on Animazement.
Great. I don't think anyone wants to hear it.
They seem to. Everyone seems to like to hear everything we have to say.
We might as well just sit here going, blah, 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 like exactly that, and then I guess people will enjoy it.
Yep, tup tup tilly tum tup.
You got a problem.
I like that music.
You got a problem.
I think I'm just gonna order the 2 CDs I found because I can't find them torrent-wise anywhere.
Well, also, you're not gonna find them on Pirates Bay, at least not for a couple days.
Yeah, that's not really news, but for anyone who's following it, the Pirates Bay people have stated openly that they will be back up within a few days.
Woohoo! Those are my kind of people.
They have also claimed that it is all a result of corruption and money and influence from foreign countries.
They're
claiming that the search was illegal.